And today I'm going to be breaking down some of the race footage I took, especially from the start line of the 100-meter dash at the Canadian National Track and Field Championships a couple of weeks ago. And I'm going to be breaking down some things that to the naked eye might not seem like much, but it can actually make a difference between a placing, making a team, and setting a record or a personal record, for example. So I'm going to start off first with the junior men's 100-meter dash. This is one of the semifinal heats, and it has the OFSA champion and record holder, the Canadian interscholastic record holder, as well as the Canadian under 18 record holder in the center of the screen here, Wyatt Lee out of Kingston, representing the Flying Angels. So the first thing I'm going to point out right here is, if you take a look at where the mouse cursor is, take a look at his foot positioning here. Both feet, yes, he has the balls of the foot in contact with the pad, but if you take a look at his heel right here, both of his heels are kind of elevated off of that pad. So as we start to play the footage here, as we come forward, so the person to his right at the left of the screen here, excellent reaction time to the gun. But now take a look at Wyatt's feet. As the gun goes, notice how he's going back. Now take a look to his left. The person to his left is already coming off the pads ahead of him. First foot strike is already down. He's one of the last people into his first step. So this is costing him a valuable time, because as the gun goes, it's taking him 1, 2, 3 100ths of a second to get his feet back to the back of the pad and then start to project his body forward. And now the next thing I'm going to actually take notice of, yes, his knee angles are excellent here. His back leg is almost at, if I were to get a protractor route, is probably at between 118 and 122 degrees. He's probably right at 120 degrees of knee flexion here on his back leg, and his front leg is probably at an exact 90-degree angle here. But what I'm going to draw your attention to is actually his back. So what I'm seeing here is his low back is rounding over. This is a telltale sign that he's actually got some tightness in his low back and his hamstrings. So this is going to be costing him a little bit of power off that pad and his ability to then project himself. Because as we start to move forward, see how he straightens out as he's pushing off, as he gets that full extension off the pad. Now he's got straight line from his shoulder down, but his chin is still tucked a little bit, which is, again, costing a little bit of efficiency at the start of the race. Off the top of my head, I think his PR is about 10.35 seconds, which is the Canadian youth record. He won OFSA, set the records there. But if he just cleaned that little bit up, you're looking at a sub 10.3 at 17 years old. He's only his first year of senior men's high school running, so he's in grade 11. So that means grade 12, he's able to then go 10.2, 10.1 even, as he still physically matures. He improves the start, he improves his mechanics. Just this one little thing, improving his mobility in his hamstrings, because this is showing that he's very tight through here because he's having to compensate by rounding the back and not being able to keep a nice straight line from his hip to his shoulder. When you've got tightness in the hamstrings, you're going to round the low back to compensate and give the illusion of flexibility when you don't actually have it. So just cleaning these tiny little things up might not seem like much to the naked eye again, but it can make massive differences as he's accelerating. So as you can see right here, he's actually only in second or third place 8 meters into the race, but he's already, as you get to 20 and 20 meters plus into the race, he's accelerating away from the field because he's just that much faster than everybody else as he starts to get into his running. But if he just cleaned up these two little things of get the heels back in full contact with the pad and improving his flexibility and mobility in low back and hamstring complex, he will improve his start, which will then set him up to be even faster down the track. And the other thing as well right here is take a look at how he projects off. Very strong. So the other thing that he needs to also keep in mind here is, because his heels are elevated, he's actually at a higher risk of setting off the sensors, you can see the speaker here. These blocks were wired in for actually taking the reaction time to ensure that nobody is reacting faster than 1/10 of a second. That's 0.100 seconds. So by having his heels up like this, if he gets a little jittery, he may inadvertently apply too much pressure too soon, which can then set it off, causing a false start and a disqualification. So little things can make big differences. As he matures, he has lots of time. Most people don't even run his times in the 100 meter in high school, let alone at the adult level and beyond. I never did. He's a half second faster than me already. Cleaning these things up, he could be setting the Canadian junior record next year, which was also set in the final of a race that he was in, where he came second place. Back with the second block start breakdown for Canadian National Track and Field Championships. In this one, I'm going to be focusing in on Canadian national record holder for the women, Audrey Leduc of Gatineau, Quebec, representing Adidas in the sport now. So she's the one here in the middle of the screen. So her personal best, I believe, is 10.94 seconds now in the 100 meter. So we're going to break down her block start here and also harken back to Wyatt Lee's as well. So the reason I say that is, let's take a look at her foot positioning first of all. If you notice, both of her feet firmly pushed back into the blocks. This is preloading up her Achilles tendon and calf so that, one, she's able to just immediately react off the blocks as soon as she starts to push and she's not wasting any time there. And two, this allows for a much cleaner start without any risk for really any false starts. So this starts as they've already been called up to set. So if you notice, take a look right there. See how she rises a little bit higher and then settles back down? So there's an issue here with that. It shows that she's still not fully comfortable in her start position at set. This has a big upside to it. This isn't really a negative. This just means as she becomes more comfortable, her start is just going to become more efficient and better. So the downside to it, however, is that because she's moving, if you take a look at her legs as she's doing it, they're still flexing up and down as she's doing it. So that means that there's going to be a little bit of pressure being put on to the blocks. And because these blocks are censored, they're going to be seen. So the sensor is basically a force plate in there with a timer. So if the gun goes and before 0.100 seconds elapses and there's a massive spike in force, which can be caused by going up and down here, it can actually set off a false start reading, which then you're disqualified from the race. But in this case, no issues at all. So the gun goes. So take a look. If there's something that you notice there, I'm going to give you a quick second before I point it out. I'm going to bring the mouse cursor over. So watch right here where the mouse cursor is right now. Gun goes. Boom. See how there's that flexion in the spine. The vast majority, if not every sprinter, is going to have a little bit of this, because this is the weakest point in our body for the actual sprint. It's not the legs, it's not actually up through the shoulders. It's right through here where all the force transfers from the low body into the upper body. As hard as you're trying to brace when you take that big breath in as the gun's about to go, your legs are going to be putting out so much force that right through there is still going to have some flexion. And the other reason why you're going to have a little bit of that is there's a delay between when your legs are pushing and when your arms actually start to move. So as she comes up here, so what it causes for her is a little bit of rounding here. Take a look at the competitor to her right or on the left of the screen for us. She's a little bit stronger through her midsection and she's able to keep a much more, not necessarily neutral, but a much more natural spine position. And you're going to see how this plays off as the race goes. So boom, boom, boom. So at this point, Audrey is actually probably in 4th place. And then at about 10 meters into the race, 8 to 10 meters here, she's actually in 2nd, 3rd place. But because she's just vastly faster than everyone else in this race, she separates at that point. She's already pulling away. But now let's go back to these first few steps as well. So excellent push off. Both feet are pushing off. Now, what I'm going to be highlighting here is shin positioning for her. She's a professional. Now we're going to start digging into shin positioning. So, foot strike, good. Positive shin angle. Boom. positive shin angle. Now take a look. See how, yes, she's getting excellent knee lift because she's, despite being, my impression of her when I first saw her, scrawny-ass white girl, she is getting excellent knee lift and hip extension. She's driving through. She's pushing through. But one thing that I noticed right here, she's trying to open up the knee angle a little bit here. She fights it because this is only a third step. So we don't see it because the official is in the way here. The official's in the spot they're supposed to be. I'm not faulting them for that. But now, boom, still positive shin angle. Right here, she's opened up the knee angle. We don't want to see that happening quite this early in a race at the top end of the sport. But when she makes ground contact, she still has positive shin angle. But now that on the next step is already gone. So what this is telling us is that she still has a lot of improvements she can make in her start. She runs 10.94 seconds. There's no reason why, just by cleaning up this portion here. And one thing I just noticed here, she has a little bit of a bob up and down with her torso. By cleaning all of this up, it's going to help to make her faster down the track. The big benefit she has over everyone in this race and in Canada in general is her top end speed is the fastest. She's the fastest 200 meter runner in Canadian history. She's the fastest 100 meter runner in Canadian history on the women's side. That means that she has the best top end speed across the sport in our sport currently in Canada. She's still not efficient in the beginning. She's very tight. The start of the 100 meter is a violence. She's not quite able to be as efficient as she can be here, but she is very strong to be able to still separate from the field at this point and to run the time that she runs. If she's able to then get a little stronger at the 10. So right here is 10 meters because those right over here, that's the relay zone, end of the relay zone. So this tells me at 10 meters, okay, she's already ahead, but at 8 meters, she's a little bit behind. So her acceleration could still use some work, and that alone is going to help her run in the 10.8s, which then puts her into position to be a dark horse onto a podium at a major international competition. And then as she separates and gets a little bit stronger, keeping that top end speed, she's in good position. So next, I'll break down her main competitor in Canada, Sade McCreath out of Toronto. Next block start breakdown. So this one's going to be just by photo. Like the other ones I took video of, and this one I just happened to switch over to photo mode for it. But we're going to be primarily breaking down two Team Canada relay competitors here. We have Sade McCreath from Toronto, and then we have Mary Leclerc from Quebec on the left. So both of them were on Canada's 4x1 team in Paris, as well as in Guangzhou at the World Relay Championships just a couple of months ago. So first thing we're going to do here is take a look. So clearly this isn't right at the very beginning of the race, as the first picture I had was not good at all. So there's going to be a sequence of 3 photos here for this. So we've got 1, 2, and 3, kind of showing the start here. So let's first take a little look at both of them here. So Sade, clearly she's already pushed off much faster, much better reaction than Mary had. But let's also take a look here. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Is take a look at her back angle here. So from the base of her neck to her hips, it's a pretty straight line, especially when we go and we compare that over here to Mary. Much more drastic kind of hunch in the back for her at the start. So what this is showing is, one, Sade has much more mobility through her hips, through her hamstrings, as well as her low back. I will say, yes, she is also shorter. So the start, she's going to be almost naturally a little bit better at. As a former short sprinter myself, I can attest, us short people, those first 10 meters, we can absolutely crush the tall people at them. But they can still be just as good as us. Usain Bolt, people said, was a bad starter. I got news for you. He's got one of the best times to 10, 20, 30, 50, 60 meters. And as we know, he's got the 3 fastest 100 meters in history, win legal. But so what I want to bring another highlight to here is take a look at the shin angle here. So as Sade's back leg is coming off the blocks, the shin angle in her front leg is excellent. It's nice and low. This means that as she pushes out and comes off the block, her opposite leg, as seen in this third picture, is going to have excellent projection coming out. So we can tell she's gotten lots of training and practice in that front in the beginning of the race. She's taking advantage of one of her big strengths here, which is that she can outperform people at the start of a race. One thing as well to take a look between the first and second picture. While yes, she has a little bit of rounding in that low back as she's pushing off and applying all those forces, by the time she's finished extending through, she's in, let's just go, oh, I don't want that. That's not what I wanted. She is basically in a straight line. That is what you want. Now let's compare that to her Team Canada teammate. So we'll just drag this here. She is not in a straight line at all. In fact, if we were to draw this out a little more accurately, she's kind of got a little squiggle going on in her back, and that's extending all the way down through the rest of her body. So this is where you see efficiency at work. Sade, extremely efficient at the start. Newsflash, she was co-Canadian record holder in the women's 100. She ran 10:95 earlier this year. This is also showing she's in fine form to be able to run low 10.9s, high 10.8s even, as she improves her top end speed. Her block starts, excellent. Can she clean up right here a little bit and improve her, what we like to call core strength, or just through her abdominals and low back strength a little bit? Yes. Is it a big red flag really overall? Not at all. Actually, her start for the women is probably the best Canada has maybe ever, because a couple meters into the race, she's already out in front, and it's catch me if you can type of thing. And there's only one Canadian woman ever who's going to be able to catch her, and that's going to take a lot of work down the track, which is why in the final, I was disappointed to see that they weren't lined up exactly side by side. They put a competitor in the middle of them, as we're going to pull up right now. So, whoever was the meet director of this, I'm sorry, but you're an idiot. You've got the two fastest women in Canadian history. I don't care what the software says in terms of seeding the lanes. You put them right next to each other in lanes 4 and 5. Plain and simple, do that. In the future, all championships do that. Stop doing this stupid shit that we see where you separate them. You put a person in between them. No, put them head to head, side by side. That's where all the eyes are going to be. But I digress. It's just something that kind of annoys me. This is the start of the women's final at Nationals. So we've got Audrey Leduc here on the right, and we've got Sade McCreath over here on the left, and then we also have Jacqueline Madogo, who is another member of the Canadian women's 4x1 at both Guangzhou and in Paris. She's another strong Canadian sprinter. As she improves, Canada's going to become more and more of a threat in that women's 4x1. So let's go slide by slide here. So boom, take a look. Sade's reacted much better than Audrey has. Boom, she's already got her leg out past her hips, coming forward. She came to play in this final. That's for damn sure. Her foot strike already down. Jacqueline is matching her at this point, but as we see, boom, boom, Sade is keeping better joint angles and everything through. Yeah, here she's twisting her back foot. Sorry, not her back foot, but she's twisting her foot ever so slightly, getting external rotation. That's because her glutes are strong. She's got a strong low back and glute, which is allowing her to have such a strong start. If you're to stand behind the 100-meter dash, and as they come up to set, take a look at the low back, glute, and hamstring complex, you can almost tell, based upon how large and developed that is, in comparison to the body size, who's going to have an excellent start and who isn't. Sade, take a look. She's got good quad development. She's got good hip development, the musculature in and around the hips. she's going to be a strong starter naturally, and being shorter, she's going to have very quick turnover at the start of the race. This is a few more meters down the track, and as we can see here, it's really a two-person race at this point. You can already see that we're almost 20 meters into the race, and both Audrey and Sade have separated from the field already. At the end of the race, I think they were separated by less than a tenth of a second, which, to give you perspective of that, is less than a meter between first and second over the course of 100 meters. So in terms of relay placement, there's a reason why national team head coach Glenn Gilbert, who's himself a two-time world and an Olympic champion in the 4x100 meter, has Sade starting off the race and Audrey running a longer leg. Take advantage of their strengths. Best starter in the country, best top-end speed in the country. You can place Audrey on any other leg to take advantage of that speed, but a good place to put her is having her chase people down either on second, in my eyes, on second leg, or the preferred position, especially for the fastest, on anchor. That way, she might be able to eat back another 1 to 2 positions in a lot of races, and if it's close with her top-end speed, Canada is, in my eyes, I'm saying it right now, Canada is a dark horse for a medal. If the U.S., notorious for screwing up relay exchanges, Jamaica, who is hit and miss, it seems, the past couple of years, but if they put their A team in and everyone's running well, it should be the U.S. and Jamaica out in front. But Canada, no reason why, with these two especially kind of bookending the race, and then a couple other 11-2, 11-3 runners, can't be right there with Team Great Britain. And these days, the surprise at the World Relays was the Spanish women who had perfect exchanges. But we could be in there for a dark horse threat for a medal. And in a relay, you never know what's going to happen. A team could drop it, they could run under the zone, which puts you up another position. So keep eyes peeled for the Canadian women's 4x1, but also both of these women are threats to make the World Championship final in the 100-meter dash. I'm saying it now. They're both capable of 10.8 seconds this season and making it into the final, where if they go 10.8 in that final, weirder things have happened where we could have one of them close to a podium position. That's all I'm really going to cover in this one before I get into the senior men's with two of our top guys. The final block breakdown that I'm going to be doing from the Canadian National Track and Field Championships. So this is one of the semifinal heats for the men, and it has two of Canada's big boys in it. We've got Jerome Blake here on the right, and then we've got Aaron Brown here on the left. So just a little bit of their resume. They are both the 2022 world champions in the 4x100 meter. They are both members of the Canadian men's 4x100 meter Olympic gold medal winning team from Paris. They've also won silver back in 2021. Aaron won bronze with the 4x1 in 2016. He's also got an additional, I think, 2 world championship bronze medals. He was a 2019 world championship finalist in the 100 meter and the 200 meter. Jerome Blake, just a week ago, won the NACAC championships in the 100 meter, and Aaron won it in the 200 meter. So these are two very accomplished sprinters. Aaron's been a member of the Canadian senior team since 2012. He's been to 4 Olympic Games. He's one of the fastest in Canadian history. He's the old statesman at this point, but he is still damn fast and deadly in a race. You can never take him lightly. So here we go as they're coming up to set in their heat. Oh, so I should say there's a caveat to this. They had 4 restarts to the race. Unfortunately, Jerome was disqualified for a false start. There was noise, so I would say bullshit on him false starting out. They should have let him run, especially with how he trotted to the line in the finish of this. But he got his redemption. He set a Canadian championship record in the 200 meter on the Sunday with a time of 19.95 seconds. A personal best for him, championship record, sending him to Tokyo in the men's 200 meter. He's been having an excellent season. He's also dipped under 10 seconds as well, with I think its PR is now 9.95 seconds, which was in the NACAC championships. But here we go. So as they come up to set, So remember something that I mentioned when it came to Audrey. When she came up to set, she kind of came up and down. Here, both of them solid as a rock when they come up. Now let's take a look at the joint angles. Aaron's up a little bit higher. His back leg, it's a little bit. In the final, he was actually set back a little bit better than this. In my eyes, a little bit better. He had full contact of both pads for the final. In here, I think after all the start and stops, he might have just been wanting to get it over with. Here we go. So, one thing I really want to focus here. One, Jerome's joint angles, we can't really see his back leg, but his front leg, excellent. 90 degrees. Hips for both of them, above the shoulders. This is where you want to be. Backs, both of them, almost flat, almost perfectly flat. So this is showing solid flexibility and mobility in the hips, solid through the low back and the glute. So they've been taking care of themselves. They've kept the muscles supple while still having the tightness to be explosive. So gun goes. So something I want to draw everyone's eyes to. Watch the blocks themselves. Both of these guys are sub 10-second runners in the 100 and sub 20 in the 200 meter. So they are fast. They are very strong as well, especially to be able to push off. See how both of their blocks move back ever so slightly. They're pushing off with several times their body weight in forces. Their muscles are taking on over 1,000 pounds of intramuscular force through the soleus at contact. So Jerome, he is taller than Aaron. One thing I don't necessarily like overall right here is he allows himself to somewhat kind of collapse. Aaron does it a little bit here as well. But like I said, this was the fourth restart to the race, and you've only got a finite amount of energy. So that could have been it. But again, both of them, excellent extension through the hips as they're coming out. Aaron steps a little bit shorter than Jerome does. He's a shorter athlete. Second step, both of them still excellent shin angles. Excellent shin angles. Their arms, they're using their upper body to generate force. But their upper body here isn't necessarily for generating force and whatnot. It's as an anti-rotation. Their lower bodies are exerting so much force into the track and through their body that it creates a rotational force. So as if their right leg is going down, their body's trying to twist. So the arm action is preventing this twisting so that there's less energy bleed as they're coming out of the blocks. So as we approach here, we are now getting 10 meters into the race. Aaron and Jerome aren't actually leading the race right here. Homeboy out in lane 2 had an incredible start in this race. But as we fast forward another 3 or 4 steps, they've now eaten back into that. And by the end of the race, Jerome was cruising. He's in excellent shape right now. He is ready to go to the World Championships and run fast. He showed that in Bahamas at NACAC Championships where he won. Aaron's also showing he's rounding into excellent form. He's getting into that form where he was sub 10, sub 20 seconds. We can see it here. One thing I would personally like to see a little bit better from Aaron, that we can see more so from the backside here, is take a look at Jerome's knee lift here. Aaron doesn't really get there. That's one thing that I've always wanted to see a little bit better from Aaron, is a little bit better knee lift as he's coming up. He's got excellent low heel recovery out of the blocks. Take a look. So his leg, his heel, doesn't really lift up all that high. You see a lot of male sprinters and female sprinters, they start to cycle early as a compensation factor. Aaron's very strong. He's very strong through his core, which is allowing him to keep this position. One mistake you see a lot of times from people, because it got popularized by a video almost 20 years ago by Asafa Powell, I think it was in 2007 actually, the video itself, when he was doing it with Sports Science, rest in peace John Brenkus, is dragging the toe. So if you take a look, Jerome almost dragged the toe right there. That's something that got popularized, that Asafa Powell even says, no, he doesn't drag his toe when he races. It just stays very low to the ground. Dragging the toe is going to slow you down a little bit, and if you drag and scuff a little too hard, you run the risk of tripping, falling on your face, and with these kind of forces and that low, it's going to be painful. You're going to get track burn all over you. But take a look as they're pushing. These are two world-class sprinters. And we're only looking at the first 10 meters. They're setting up the race, but they're already separating because, one, they are vastly more talented. They are better overall sprinters. They're going head-to-head. These two are teammates. They're friends. They train in different training groups. But they are both world-class in what they do. They're putting a lot of force in. Jerome being a little bigger, he's going to have a little bit more force going into those blocks naturally. Both of them are almost neck and neck with each step through the beginning of the race. So these are little things. There's not really much to really critique on them. I just wanted to really highlight them. They're world-class. Their coaches are doing an excellent job. I believe Jerome's training with Audrey Leduc and Marcelo Mont-Jacobs down with Rana Rader. And Aaron trains in Claremont with Star Athletics, where his training group includes like Kenny Bednarik and Sha'Carri Richardson and current women's world leader Melissa Jefferson Wooden. So they're being in an environment that's going to foster excellence. They're in environments that are going to foster being the best that they can be. And if they're not at their best even in training, they're going to get exposed. Sprinters, they don't like to be exposed ever, so they always want to bring their A game. And both of them are rounding into excellent form leading into the Tokyo World Championships, which start in just a couple of weeks. This is also our first two legs of the Canadian men's 4x1 team. Jerome has an insane top-end speed once he gets going. Aaron has an excellent top-end speed, but he has actually shown that he's an excellent corner runner and starter. That way we can then have the likes of like Brendan Rodney, who's not as good at the start, but is a strong corner runner, run third leg, and then handing off to one of the top-end speed guys in history, Andre DeGrasse. And we have a little bit more depth in that our actual Canadian champion is Duan Asamoah from Toronto, and we have from Ottawa, Eliza Ajibi, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, who round out a solid squad of 6 for the World Championships. And there's also even a few others that you can throw into the mix these days. We've got more depth than ever on the men's side. We're not just taking our 4 fastest and hoping and praying they all make it through healthy for the relay. Now we've got threats across the board. Both of these guys could be in the final of the men's 100. Both these guys could be in the final for the men's 200 meter. That's what makes it such an exciting time right now. And as I've said a few times, they're coming into form at the perfect time. It's a late season this year. This race was at the start of August. World Championships are mid-late September in Tokyo. These guys are going to be ready. You can see it already. And I look forward to seeing all of it at the World Championships. Little tiny things they could both fix and whatnot in their start. Not really going to make that big of a difference for either of them, to be honest. They're excellent where they currently are. They're just going to keep getting better.